I am lost.
Welcome back to Faithfully Ever After. I'm Maya,
I'm Alex.
and this is Kevin.
Hi.
So, you've heard us talk about throughout our episodes how there was someone very special who helped us get through some difficult moments in our lives. So, I am extremely excited and honored to have Kevin with us today. This is Kevin. Hi. And Kevin, I'm actually just going to invite you to just give us a little bit of your background, just your experience, what you do, who you are.
Okay. Well, my name is Kevin Coupland, and I call myself the couples guy online. So I'm a couples therapist principally, but I do work with individuals. I used to be a pastor. My former career, I was a children's minister, and I did work with a lot of families. And at some point along the way, I became more interested in helping the parents than the kids because I was seeing, a lot of challenges with the children, of course. But then thinking, well, I wanted to kind of transition towards helping the parents because I believed, with strong marriages, strong relationships, the children are going to flourish and they're going to benefit from that. So I started down my path, went back to school, got my master's in clinical counseling, and started working with couples and adult individuals. So that's what I'm doing now, and I've been doing it for about 12 years now and really enjoying it. So I can't even remember when. I was racking my brain thinking, like, when did we meet?
I think it was 2017.
I'm terrible with
Probably,
dates.
probably 2017
Okay.
that we sat down and
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been what, 8 years then?
Wow.
and we still today use the practices that we learned
From you?
from you.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Yeah, we still use them today, and it's funny because it's a full circle moment. We went from having all these troubles to now trying to help and walk with others through it, right?
And do you find that when you help other people, and you're sharing your experience, it also just kind of reinforces the principles, the things that you learned and the things that you're teaching? Because I've heard this saying, it's like learn once, teach, or teach twice, learn one. I'm messing it up. Sorry. Learn once, teach twice. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Or I might be messing
Because
it
when
up.
you teach, then you
Yes,
retain it even
you're
more, right?
learning it again, right?
Right. And we do. We as we teach it, we're
We reference
reinforcing
you
it
all
even.
the time.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
reinforce it to ourselves. And you have a very valid point. We see it in our family where we have really been able to work on ourselves, and we see it in our son. And our youngest that's still here with us. We see who he has become because of who we are. So 100% I agree with
We
you.
actually just talked about that in our last episode about what a difference it would have made if our parents had these tools, because we
right.
didn't grow up looking at that model and what it should look like. So you speaking to how you transition to the parents, because ultimately it helps the kids. Like it's just right in.
It's generational, right?
Yeah.
And you taught us that actually, that it is damage that is brought forward from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. And so until you break that cycle, the generations to come will be doomed with the same fate. And we have now
Broken the
forward
cycle.
from it. And we will now
broke the
be the
cycle.
change for generations to come.
It's great. Yeah, it's beautiful that you've come to that understanding and acceptance, and now being able to transition to help other people, and help them to learn. That's amazing.
So, what does a healthy communication, conversation, something that a husband and wife can have, what kind of health benefits does it give to have an open and honest communication between
So when we met with
people?
you,
Yeah, I'm talking about you, man.
Yeah, you. So when we met with you, one of our biggest takeaways that we reference all the time is how to have the conversation. So I feel this when you do this, and that back and forth, and it felt really weird practicing it at first,
It is strange.
It is.
but it became we realized and recognized how impactful it was to apply that, and it stopped a lot of our bickering and arguing. It taught us how to communicate.
Well, there's a lot to unpack in your question. And And I think it's important. So one of my mentors, Sue Johnson, emotionally focused therapy, she said, I think very astutely, that we can have all the communication skills in the world. But in the moment of dysregulation, all of your communication skills go out the window. So yes, I do think it's important for us to have good communication skills. But even I've come to learn, even more importantly than that, it's important for us to have good regulation skills. Because if you are in fight, flight, freeze mode, it doesn't matter what your partner says, it's going to come across to you as threatening, disconnecting. So first and foremost, we have to develop good regulation skills and co-regulation skills as a couple. Like you can co-regulate one another, meaning send safety cues or danger cues to one another. And when you send danger cues, your partner is going to become more dysregulated. But when you send safety cues to your partner, they're going to become more calm, more protected, more desiring to be close. So I think that is the number one thing now that I like to focus on with couples. And then from there, we start talking about, well, what are the communication skills necessary? So would you like me to go into that part as well now too?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I'd love to,
Yeah.
the practical, like a takeaway, like if I were to
Very
practice this at
practical.
home.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of great acronyms out there. I love John Gottman's stuff, and he'll use the lovely acronym ATTUNE. And then from the Imago therapy model, we use support. Now, I love the support model, but I like to play around and I've adapted it, so I've changed it up a little bit. So it just stands for SUPPORT. Okay. Now I could talk about this for hours, but I will definitely try to narrow it down really fast. So basically, S for me means just slow down and give attention. So if you're not focused on your partner, then they're going to become dysregulated. So if you say, Alex, can I talk to you about something? And he's distracted doing the dishes or cooking or watching the game or whatever, you're going to feel less connected. So your dysregulation is going to stir up and you're going to become more upset, more frustrated. Your volume, your tone, all of that stuff is going to play a big role then in how you are interacting. So slow down and pay attention, first thing. So we've got S stands for stop, slow down and give attention. Now U just stands for understand the thoughts, the feelings, and the desire of your partner. Now that's really, really hard to do when we're dysregulated, because I think of it like a tug of war. Okay, you've got one end of the rope, you've got the other end of the rope. Both of you have your perspective. Both of you have your feelings and your desires that are different from one another. So you get into this tug of war of, well, I want to be understood. Well, yeah, well, I want to be understood. Well, I want you to empathize with me. Well, I want you to empathize with me. Well, I want you to understand my desires. Well, I want you to, and we end up pulling and no resolution, but certainly a lot of frustration. So understanding is saying, I'm willing to drop the rope and give you this gift of you are being understood. I am trying to understand you rather than trying to get my need of being understood met. That takes a lot of maturity and a lot of practice, because I can teach this stuff and 5 minutes later, we fall right back into the old trap, because our human instinct when we are in threat is to go to our individual state, not coupleship state, individual state. So when we go into our individual state, I'm not so worried about your feelings and your thoughts and your desires. I'm more worried about you knowing what my thoughts and my feelings and my desires are. The tug of war.
And we get to point 4. Why don't you read point 4 for me, Maya?
What's one behavior or mindset that consistently damages relationships? Maybe they don't even realize it.
One mindset. Okay. I think, to me, going back again to the, this is from a Imago therapy model. I see it as difference. How we manage difference is, to me, one of the most significant things in a relationship. If you can handle difference, you're going to be okay. If you see different, if you can handle difference with acceptance and celebration, you're going to succeed. If you see difference as tolerance or rejection, then you're going to have problems. Okay? So there's always going to be differences within relationships. No two people are the same, and they probably shouldn't be, or they'd end up killing each other anyways. So what we end up doing is villainizing difference and trying to get rid of the difference rather than accept and celebrate the difference.
That's good. That's great.
What about for you guys? I want you guys to answer that as well. What do you think is damaging when it comes to a relationship?
We definitely can't cook together.
Ah,
Very damaging. Very damaging.
Yeah, you have different approaches to cooking.
We have
together?
different
Yeah.
approaches to cooking, and the very first time we made a lasagna,
I like to follow the rules. He doesn't. He's
we,
a,
a little pinch here, a little pinch there.
We almost didn't get married. Let me tell you, that lasagna was
That
a
lasagna
deal
almost-
breaker.
almost broke us.
but I'm assuming what you learned is that in the fundamental basis of communication, there has to be an open and honest understanding of what the problem actually is. So when it came to communication prior to, how were you navigating communication issues?
We didn't have communication prior to Kevin. We
Oh.
would.
No, but I think it goes back to the trying to prove that you're right and not stepping outside of, I need to convince you that I'm right, that this is what it is.
Yeah.
But stepping out of that, we were talking, you use different words, but we spoke about empathy. What are you feeling right now? Why do you feel that? And empathizing with what you're feeling rather than just being so caught up in whatever's going on with
Right.
me.
And if we didn't feel that we were being heard, we would shut down, or I would shut down anyway. If I didn't feel like I was being heard, I would just turn everything off. And I would turn it off. It wasn't just for 1 or 2 hours. I could turn it off for days.
Yeah.
And this actually brings me, see, this is why I'm such a good podcast producer. This brings me to number 5. Can you read that for me, please?
Yes. What are some practical ways couples can calm down heated arguments before they spiral?
Okay, well, first of all, have you ever tried to have a conversation with somebody that's intoxicated?
Yes.
Doesn't go in.
Yes,
How
I
did
have.
that go?
Not very well.
Not very well.
They're not. You think they're hearing you, but they're
they're
really
not
not. They're only
They're
hearing
really not.
themselves.
Yeah. And dysregulation, again, is very much the same way. When you're in your dysregulated state, you're in the part of your brain that is in protective mode is firing. Your logic part of your brain is shut down.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to have a logical conversation with somebody that's in fight, flight, freeze mode is not going to happen. So when you've got to recognize for yourself and for your team as a partnership here, okay, we are dysregulated, which means we aren't going to have a healthy conversation or an effective conversation. We need to separate, as Gottman would say, need to take some time away. Pause. Exactly. Go think about something else. Do not think about the conflict. Do not think about your one-liners that you're going to come back with and zing at your partner, but distract yourself completely and then come back after a short period of time at agreed upon time. Do not, I'm out of here, I'm leaving. That's abandonment, and that's cruel and abusive. But what you want to do is, I'm coming back in an hour, or can we resume this in half an hour? Can we talk about this tomorrow morning? Whenever that might be, set the time, come back, talk about it, and most of the time you're going to think about it a lot more clearly.
Yeah. And we talked about too how sometimes I feel like you're yelling at me when you're not. And I've had to learn how to communicate that in our arguments and say, okay, you're making me feel like you're yelling at me right now.
I'm
And
not,
it's
I'm
making me feel like I want to shut down.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry that you feel that. You respond with, I'm sorry you feel that way.
I'm not
And-
yelling. I'm just loud. It's true, though. It's true.
And
No,
when you
but
hear,
you-
I'm not yelling, which is you defending yourself, what is my hearing?
Yelling.
Yeah, you're right and I'm wrong. And that's
Yeah,
you're trying to
right.
prove-
The rope, right?
Yeah, the
It
pulling
becomes
back.
about, I'm not yelling. Well, yes, you are. Well, I am not. Well, yes, you are. And now the conflict ends up being about that disconnection.
Well, to be honest with you, even though I may respond like that, my next move is to lower my tone.
Yeah.
And I do bring my tone down because I've recognized that there are other tools. I've recognized that there are other tools that I can use, and not just my voice. So when she does say it to me, even though my response may be I'm not yelling, my next sentence is already
Tone down.
half the
And
tone.
I'll bring you into the episode we previously had, and I said it's easier said than done. So for those moments where you say, man, it's easier said than done, what is your response to something like that? When someone says it's easier said than done, you can say it, but we're
Takes
living it.
work.
We're dealing with it.
In terms of in the middle of a conflict,
For sure.
you're right, and we're not going to always get it right. You're not always going to notice it in yourself. I think our human nature gets in the way, and our pride gets in the way, and we don't acknowledge sometimes when we are dysregulated and we're hurting our partner. So it's practice, and then it's reflection later on, because when we have the follow-up conversations in safety to say, okay, you know what? I actually I now realize I was hurting you. I wasn't really focused. It then makes it easier the next time. It's like you're changing the pattern of the way you think.
I love that, the reflection afterwards. I think that's a big takeaway.
Reflect on number 6.
What's the healthiest way to bring up a difficult topic, especially for couples who avoid conflict?
Thank you.
This is certainly another very important. It's all about, I relate it to volleyball. It's like, what's a good set? The most important person on the team is the setter, right? So, and when we're having a conversation, how do you set up the conversation well? First of all, another analogy, because I love my analogies. Okay, somebody's at the door. If they break down the door, the SWAT team runs into your house, how are you going to feel? Not very comfortable, right? If somebody's ringing your doorbell and asking, may I come in? Your feeling is going to be very different. You're going to feel safe and regulated. So how we introduce the subject is super important. So it might be, in a practical sense, hun, babe, like a term of endearment sends the safety signal. Okay, remember this: relationship first, content second. Because if your partner doesn't care how much you know till they know how much you care. So you've got to be able to send the signal of, hey, I'm on your side, I care about you, I love you, but there is this thing that is getting in between us that I need to discuss with you when you are also ready. Because if your partner is not ready to talk about it in that minute, it doesn't matter how important it is to you. It's not going to be a successful conversation.
Yep.
How do you feel with that response, guys? Does it resonate to what you've gone through in your life?
Yeah, I think, we were talking about taking that pause when you need it, because in the heat of a moment, you're overwhelmed in your emotions. You're not regulated, and you need to take that minute to step back, take a minute and then approach it. Like I said, you love each other. I don't want to go yell at my partner. I don't want to go and be angry. And that's not the heart when you're in a marriage. That's not the heart when you're in a relationship. So to step back and take that time, pause, and then also allow for the other person to determine when they're ready too, not just yourself. It's so important.
And so now, before we get to the 7th point, I want to ask you guys something. Do you guys feel safe in your relationship?
Yes, absolutely.
Was it always like this though?
No. I feel like when we couldn't communicate and when we would bump into a lot of conflict, I was afraid to talk to him. I was afraid to open up and be honest because I didn't feel like he was receiving it. I felt like I was being attacked.
Do me a favor. Read number 7.
Why is emotional safety so important? And how can couples start building the trust again after it's been broken? This is a good one.
It is, yeah. And I work with a lot of betrayal trauma, and it is a slow process. So couples that have experienced betrayal, 2, 3, 5 years before true trust is brought back, because once trust has been broken, it takes a lot of consistency and kindness and generosity Generosity means I'm going to assume the very best in this situation, giving each other the benefit of the doubt. But it takes a lot of that before you get back to complete trust again, where we give each other the benefit of the doubt. So I like what Brene Brown has said in having a generous interpretation. What is the best possible interpretation that I can have in this moment of my partner? Hard to do, really hard to do.
It's good.
Now that we're almost towards the end of this episode, and before we get to that very last question, when it comes to the bond, like how long have you guys known each other?
Well, we just discovered since 2017.
2017.
That's when we worked together.
And in the time from 2017 till now, what has grown between this bond here? Because he took your relationship and said, there's healing that we can do. And here you guys are. You're that couple now.
Yeah, he gave us the tools that we needed to succeed. We went in for one thing, and I think we walked out with so much more value and things to take away.
Well, let's address that
us.
right there. What was the very number one thing you wanted out of it? Other than happy family, happy life, happy marriage.
I mean, listen, communication was a big factor in.
There were some trust things.
There were some trust things that we were working through.
So I think we walked in with some trust things, but we walked out with learning how to communicate, how to
Right.
prevent
Because
conflict, the communication was huge. That's the biggest takeaway for me personally, was I felt like when we were talking,
because I think
wasn't being
there's
heard.
I think there's things that couples are unaware of when they walk into a session with Kevin. They discover there are so many other moving parts to their marriage, to their relationship, to the issues that they're having. You know, you may go in with one core reason, whatever that reason is, but you will leave
Felt like with a
finding out.
toolbox.
Yeah,
With
like
these tools.
wow, there were so many things broken. It's like you bring your car to the mechanic for an oil change, and then you need $17,000 of repairs because you've just been driving it.
We
till-
weren't that bad.
Well,
we just
no,
needed some fine tuning.
you know, you've been driving
oil
your
change.
car as an analogy. You've been driving your car and it's been breaking down, but you
Yeah.
haven't been servicing it. And people come in and say, "Well, I have this one key issue," but you don't. You have many, many issues. You just haven't been servicing your marriage. So now you get all the tools to properly service your marriage.
I have one more key thing, that just saying that we walked in with a trust issue that Kevin, that you really helped me with, was it's a decision. It's a choice. Are you choosing to move forward or are you not? But once you make that choice, you can't keep revisiting this. And that's what it was for me, was what am I choosing? And once I made the choice that I was going to move forward, like that's it. We've never walked back there. It was only taking each step forward to get to where we wanted to be.
And we've gone full circle in this episode, but there is one more final point that we need to touch on. And Maya, I need you to read number 8 for me.
If you could tell every couple one truth that would change their perspective on marriage, what would it be? One key takeaway.
The floor is yours.
Oh boy, this is again, I think I'm going to circle back to the difference, being able to accept the difference and celebrate the difference of each other. Because if you can't handle difference, you're going to be miserable all the time trying to change the other person and transform that person into your image, into your own image.
I said it the other day. I think the very first thing that couples need to do when embarking on any journey to repair is to focus on themselves first. Because if you can focus on yourself first, you would become a better version of yourself in order to help navigate your
Bring your best
marriage.
into the relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you do when you have a couple that comes to you that has already called it quits? What do you do when they have decided to go their own ways, but you know that was never the God intended, That wasn't God's intent for you to be married and to walk away from each other. Is there any, can you salvage? Can you help them? How do you get them to come together? And I don't know if this is the right question. Maybe this is not for now.
So professionally, I can't, if a couple comes in and they say we've decided to separate and go our separate ways, then that I have to roll with that. That's what they tell me. So I have to go with it. I can't go against what they tell me professionally, that they want, what their goal is. I may say to them, such as a recent client, if you were to make some improvements, there is still a possibility, and you may be in this moment speaking out of your pain and your fear that this continuing might cause so much pain and discomfort that you just want to avoid that. And that's understandable, but there is also the possibility that you could have a greater relationship if you get through this and you fight through this and you work on yourself and you work on your relationship. So try to give them a little bit of a balanced approach. Respect what they're saying, but give them a vision of the possibility of a future too.
And that, again, goes back to work on yourself first.
Yeah.
Then you can approach it from a different angle.
Now, before we sign off, there's two things on my to-do list that I have to do. Number one is let's read those tops. What do you have on your top?
Oh, mine's half the Bible.
Half the Bible. Maya, why don't we start with you?
I will make a way in the wilderness
Now, what does that mean to you?
and rivers in the desert. That when there seems to be no way, that God directs you through it and he makes a path.
It makes
Just
it
trust God with it.
Now, can we
You-
read?
you
Can we
read mine?
read that? It's a
Trust in
long
the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight.
I guess your,
Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6.
I guess your path led you to our guest for today, and
Yeah.
now the other path has led you to this podcast to help others.
That's right.
See how that goes full circle,
right, full
guys.
circle.
At your
Beautiful.
camera, first and foremost, we need to find out where our guest can find his information.
KJCoupland.
Don't look at me. Look right there.
Oh.
All right, there we go. Where can they find you on Instagram, website, all that?
Just mostly online website, kjcoupland.com.
You can find us on Linktree and all of our socials are there. We have Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
What's your
Spotify,
Instagram? What's your Instagram?
At Faithfully Ever After.
And your website. You have a new one.
faithfullyeverafter.ca.
And as always, we don't publicize our tagline, but we do say it, and that is
Rooted in faith.
Growing in love. That's faithfully ever after.
until next time.
I am loved.